Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 41. The following week, Cole found himself scouring the Nevada countryside. He was searching for a crafty group of rebels his teams were having difficulty finding. Cole's team's footsteps thumped on the dry ground as the rebels' location became less certain. Pulling off his hat, Chappie scratched his head in frustration. "We searched this area 2 months ago." Sharing his sentiment, but determined to find these rebel fighters, Cole barked back, "So we're searching it again." "The thermals we picked up last night showed they were coming this way," Monroe added, studying the electronic device in his hand. "I'm telling you, there's tunnels or something." "Thermals can't just disappear," Chappie interjected, taking a long pull off his canteen. Watching the sun push late into the afternoon, Cole was concerned they would lose daylight too quickly to complete the roundup today. "This team is smart. Keep scanning, Monroe. If they're reflecting the signal with mylar blankets, eventually their heat will show out the sides." "Unless they're carrying around a big piece of glass," Chappie teased. "Would that work?" Private Guthrie asked curiously. Monroe shook his head, replying, "Glass does block a thermal scanner, but they're not carrying around a big piece of it." While the men joked, Cole heard the birds in the forest change their calls. "Everybody quiet. Did you hear that?" Cole strained to listen to the forest sounds. Slow, quiet footsteps crackled on the leaves and a bird chirped a quick alarm call. Guthrie declared loudly, "Over there, sir." Cole snapped Guthrie a stern look. There was no option but to fight now. "Defensive positions," he commanded. The men concealed themselves in the forest scenery and they waited. Although he could not see them, Cole knew the rebels were out there. Delicately creeping towards Cole, Monroe whispered, "Why do I get the feeling we're the ones being hunted?" "Because we are. I told you they were smart," Cole replied with a breath. Straining to hear them move, Monroe scanned the forest with his thermal scanner. Cole watched his head slowly move from left to right. The noise of a leaf crinkling caught Cole's attention. He gently tapped Monroe, signaling with hand signals the direction of the sound. Monroe returned his eyes to the scanner, carefully looking the area over. He put it down, giving Cole a positive signal that the team was over there. He stealthily made his way towards Guthrie. The young soldier eagerly awaited his chance to prove himself. "Take your team and flank left," Monroe commanded quietly. Nodding, Guthrie indicated to his men with hand signals to follow him. The 5-man began an arduously slow journey to get into position. Alert to the rebel team's position, Chappie crept in from the other side of Cole. "They're moving, sir. Stacking up on our team." "Pull them back," Chappie urged him quietly. Risking the noise, Cole spoke into his radio. "First Private?" "Go ahead," Guthrie answered. "Fall back. They're on you," Cole directed. "Yes, sir," Guthrie confirmed. "Monroe, take half the squad to the right. Let's see if we can outmaneuver them," Cole said with a sly smile. "Yes, sir." He twirled his finger in the air, pointing in the direction he wanted his men to go. Cole squeezed up to the tree protecting him as he watched Monroe's men scrambling for cover from the gunfire that assaulted the quiet of the forest. Surprised by the tactics of this rebel team, Cole commanded Chappie and the group accompanying him, "Move in and provide cover." Cole fired his weapon, pushing into the center of the rebel team, but these rebels had an outstanding strategist leading them. They always seemed to be one step ahead of any move Cole's team made. Suddenly, Cole's radio sounded. The panicked voice of First Private Guthrie sounded on the other side. "Sir, they have us pinned." "We're on our way," Cole assured him. He used hand signals to direct his team towards Guthrie. "There they are," Chappie told him. Cole watched 2 members of his team fall and knew he had to end this as quickly as possible. "Lay down cover fire on the perimeter. Don't let them move." The gunfire filled Cole's ears as he watched the rebel team start to carefully retreat. Move, 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 Cole directed, urging his team to follow them. They would be able to get to Guthrie's team along the way. Oh shit, Chappie yelled, pointing out a man getting ready to throw a grenade. Get out of there, Guthrie! An explosion sent wood chips flying, covering his eyes for a moment. Cole looked up into the dust. Guthrie's team lay on the ground and the rebels had retreated further into the forest. Medic! Move in, Chappie! Press the team towards Monroe. You 6 set up a perimeter guard for the medics, Cole directed as he moved the remainder of his team toward the rebel fighters. They were on the defense now, and the screams of the injured echoed through the trees. Major, we're losing too many men, Chappie declared, watching the flow of the battle. Where are you, Monroe? Cole called into his radio. Monroe responded in little more than a whisper. Just about there, sir. The gunfire continued in the distance, and Cole's team kept pressing. Put your guns down. We have you surrounded, Cole heard Monroe yell at the rebels. You'll never take us, a man declared, signaling the fighter to move. That's their commander right over there, Chappie told Cole. Stay here, Cole commanded, slowly creeping towards the man in the distance. Distracted by the battle with Monroe, the rebel leader and his guards never heard Cole stealthily creeping in behind him. Cole cocked his gun in the man's ear as he stepped forward. Calmly, he quietly told the man, You don't have to die here, and I promise, you and your men will not be going to a refugee camp. But you need to cooperate right now or the deal is off. I can't lose any more fighters. What? The man responded, trying to turn around. You heard me. I'll give you my word. But the fighting has to end now, Cole insisted. Put your guns down, the commander yelled to his men. Sir, but you said, one of his men protested. The commander cut him off. I know what I said, but now I'm saying to put your guns down. Chappie, Monroe, wrap this up. You, come with me, Cole directed. But you said my men, the commander whispered. Come with me, Cole barked. Do as they command, guys. I'll be back, the commander told his men before walking away with Cole. Sweat ran the camouflage paint on the commander's dark skin as he looked nervously up at Cole. Very impressive battle, Cole declared honestly. If I hadn't lost so many fighters, I would be congratulating you. The man looked down and removed his hat, revealing the soft black pad of hair underneath it. I still surrendered. Like I promised myself I wouldn't do, he declared sadly. You didn't surrender. You prevented the death of your team and took a chance that there might be something better out there, Cole told him, pausing for a moment to reflect on his course of action. The death of your team would have been tragic. What gave you the idea to hunt us instead? The best defense is a good offense, the commander said with a smile, putting his hat back on. That took balls. Trust me, you're going to need them where you're going, Cole assured him. How so? The commander wondered curiously. The Western militia is hiring. Interested? Cole asked, knowing this man's skills were precisely what Cassidy needed. The commander's face furrowed. They're fighting the feds, he commented. Exactly, Cole agreed. But don't you fight with the feds? Shh. My man Chappie will get you and your team where you need to go, Cole assured him. Why would you do this? The commander wondered gratefully. Remaining emotionless, Cole responded, the landscape isn't always black and white. Extending his hand to shake Cole's, the rebel commander stated, I'll never forget this. Shaking the man's hand, Cole told him, You better. I thought you were a different man, not one that deserved my respect. But you have it, the commander clarified. I wouldn't have pulled your team out if you didn't earn mine, Cole assured him. The two men rejoined the teams. The commander's men wore zip ties on their wrists and stood in a group. Cole's men had gathered up the wounded. Luckily, Guthrie had not sustained much more than a concussion. Private Jessup was helping him load into the transport. Chappie approached Cole asking, What's the plan, sir? Load up the commander's team into a transport. Take them to the homesteads, Cole directed. Where do you want me to meet you when I'm done? Chappie inquired. Since we're already this far south, I might as well go get supplies from Vegas. But you can meet us back in Reno. Yes, sir, Chappie responded, directing his men to load up the fighters. Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 440, season 15, episode 41. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up. Hey, one thing, I want to come clean. I'm really only 5'4" inches tall.
Oh, I'm going to have to put up bonus audio now. We got Dane Draven with us. Hey, Dane, how you doing?
Hey. How y'all doing?
So,
5'4". Huh?
we were talking about the ethics of people before the show, and Chin's only 5'4". He is part Asian descent, and
yeah, I just got a text from Chin. I think he's maybe,
Chin is a giant, is what he is. Oh my gosh,
he's 2 people tall.
I couldn't let that slide.
Oh no, the best. Dude. Dane was like, "Is that why we call him Chin?"
Because he fits underneath your chin.
Right? I fit underneath his waist, pretty much.
I thought I had heard you guys talk about how tall he was, and that's why I was like, wait a minute. Are they all really super short, and he's the tallest one? I was like,
a lot of us, yeah. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
Really confused
Tim's like only a head under Chin. So and Doug is as tall as Chin. Yeah.
I'm like 5'10", 5'11", somewhere in there. I'm not, I'm about average height.
Yeah, I'm about 5 foot, so.
And definitely average stupidity.
Same.
Average IQ, for sure.
All right, so a little bit of business before we get into chit chat. Episode 16, season 3, season finale, airing this Thursday. So it turned out really good. I can't wait to hear like how you guys liked it, because I thought it turned out amazing. So anyway, yeah.
Nice.
So
Very
wrapping
cool.
up that, we'll have to do like a blooper show, and James wants to do like a full on all of the show marathon. And like have people run a marathon while it's going on. I was like, I'll host it for you.
Yes, I'll watch. I will hand out water.
I could hit a heavy bag like the whole time, but running,
dude, hitting a heavy bag will wear you out, man. I mean,
dude, I can do that for like an hour at least.
Yeah, back when I was in my teens and in my early 20s, I used to do Muay Thai kickboxing, and rolling a heavy bag, that'll definitely tire you out. Even working the pads with another person will tire you out. Speed bag, not so much.
You're wrecked. Yeah. We
Yeah.
had a MMA the other night. We did 2 minutes on the stand-up bag, and then 2 minutes on the ground bag, ground and pound. So just alternating between, no break. And then my coach there with a shield to bonk you and bump you the whole time, try and pull you off the ground bag and everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. That's great training.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like, man, I only go once a week. I do my own training during the week, and only do that once a week because, my body's just like, yeah, I hate you. So
just don't throw up on their feet. That's all that matters.
No, I can definitely. I got the endurance still, and
Nice.
I like to keep the agility up. So,
when we were doing that stuff, the big thing is they would always say, your gas is what's going to save you in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the endurance, you will win, even if you're getting hurt. Unless you get knocked out, you're going to win.
Yeah, and as you get older, it's all about knowing how to conserve that energy and just hit maximum damage when you are letting it rip. So, yeah, he's big into, punch light. Make them think that you can't hit them. I like, they'll just totally underestimate you, and then you can just destroy them. And I'm like, I like it.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah, he's turning all my sports stuff, taking away all the sports stuff and turning it into street fighting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Because there ain't going to be no rules.
Right. And like, I'm used to fighting people. We all got to go to work the next day,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
hold back.
so,
you don't hurt nobody too bad.
Right? So he pads up and he's like, okay, you need to just go. Like, there's no holding back. Stop that. I'm like, all right.
I get to actually do something fun.
Yeah, you got it.
You gotta, no, never mind. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Never mind. I was going to tell you to pull a knife on him and see what he does, but nah.
Oh, no, he's an awesome self-defense instructor as well. So, yeah, we do a lot.
You said I could go full out, man.
That's right. Like, here you go. I got it in my set. It's like right there all the time. So
it's actually made of chocolate, but that's not the point.
What, are you eating the handle first? If not the point?
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
Oh,
we're bad.
So for those of you who don't catch the blooper episodes, Dane plays Mr. Lee, and the amount of bloopers that I can just harvest off of every vocal recording is awesome. So it's very entertaining to always put your audio together. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You want to know my secret?
What's that? Elmo? Channeling your inner Elmo?
No, that one. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's a really big word.
No, my secret is that I never take anything seriously.
Obviously.
It's true.
Okay, because when you're doing the counter lines for Carol, that's almost, if not more funny.
Well, it's easier for her to come to like play off of somebody, so
yeah.
I have to mess with her a little bit and see if I can get her to laugh.
I am so impressed because, like, I would just be rolling. She, as you guys have obviously been married for a while, because she can hold it together, and you are just going off because I'm not wearing any pants. I would have just lost it.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tell everybody about doing the audio drama. I listen to my friends talk all the time, because I'm always working on audio. So I get to listen to you guys all the time. You only get to listen to me once a week, so.
Well, she's very used to me now. She, when you're married a certain period of time, your partner just looks over at you and just rolls her eyes.
Yeah, the
like,
look.
Oh my God,
like, seriously? Okay.
Like, I look at her and I tell her dad jokes all the time, and I'm like, hey, did I tell you about that new pencil I invented? It has erasers on both sides. And she's like, what? And I said, never mind, it's pointless.
It's pointless.
She doesn't like the joke. Like,
I'm going to tell that one to Christian. My youngest son loves the dad jokes. My husband has them all in his database. It's just the worst. So
database?
Yeah, in his database.
But yeah, I tell her jokes like that all the time, and she just rolls her eyes like, oh my gosh, I live with this. I chose this guy. Oh my gosh.
Alrighty.
So what's going on?
So believe it or not, we're talking defensive strategies today. We just had the Virgis episode where he, like the hunter, became the hunted. I always love writing stuff like that. So I wanted to have you on to talk about it, but I also found out what you do for a living. I want you to talk a little bit about that and just a little bit of like where you come from and a little bit more about Dane so we can get to know more about who Dane is other than the blooper guy.
Okay. Well,
and gun helper, by the way. Thank you very much for that with my new firearm. That was very, very useful. So good skill to have. Yeah.
No worries. Let's see. Up until recently, I was working as a gunsmith, and I worked as a gunsmith for I want to say like 8 years, something like that. And then I was offered a job in management at a giant sporting goods retailer. And I went over and worked in management in the hunting department at a large sporting goods retailer. Did that for a while, realized, now I remember I hate retail.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I left that job after a couple of years. I want to say about 3 years. And the thing that sucks is you miss the discount, being able to pull.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Getting that ammo at a discount is, it's like 10% over cost. You're like, oh man, this sucks. Letting that discount go.
Yeah.
The other thing you could do that people may not know, I'll tell you all you guys this. about the firearm industry. People that work behind the counter, they have what are called spiffs, which means if let's say I sell you 10 I may get in trouble for this, but I sell you 10 Vortex scopes, I will get a free Vortex scope.
Oh.
If I sell you 10 SIG pistols, I'll get a SIG pistol, so on and so forth.
Wow.
Almost all companies have them, and every single company has freebies that you can get, free swag, things like that. I think,
man, if I sell 10 insurance policies, I don't get a free one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's start selling firearms.
Yeah, there you go. Get an FFL. It really, honestly, it's not that hard. The hardest part is staying compliant. But you can call in compliance guys that will keep you compliant. The big thing right now is with the ATF zero tolerance policy. You would need to have people in there checking, dotting your I's and crossing your T's for you. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm already on enough lists. I think I'm good.
So the thing I could tell you, though, at the place that I was at, when we did 4473s, and for any of your listeners out there that don't know, a 4473 is the massive FBI background check that you have to do every time you buy a firearm. It's not really that massive, but it is paperwork, and some are instant, some are not. Some come back delayed, some come back denied. That being said, what we used to do at the sporting goods retailer I was at, we would draw a plus symbol at the very top of the 4473. We would have the customer fill it out online, or we would have them fill it out in person. Either way, whatever they want to do, or fill it out online on the computer in front of them, and then we print it out, right? So we put that plus sign up top. The person working behind the counter that is doing the sale, they would check the 4473, make sure the address is correct, make sure the driver's license is correct, make sure the serial number is correct on the firearms. That's the biggest thing, dude. If that serial number is incorrect for the gun that you just sent out, that's a problem. Because you just sent out a gun that has, that you don't know where it went, right?
Yep.
And then the next thing you'll want to make sure of is that their address is correct, and that they actually had a background check. Okay, some guys have actually skipped the background check and just sent them out the door. It happened when I was there on Black Friday.
Oops. And
it was actually a nice, cute little old lady, and she bought, I kid you not, a massive Ruger 44 Magnum. I forget exactly which model it was, but it was a big old revolver.
Go, Granny.
This is freaking cool, dude. So we had to call her. She came back. We did the background check, and she was out the door. But it was really funny. Anyway, so we draw a plus symbol at the top. The person working behind the counter, or the customer service rep, whatever it is, he signs at the upper right-hand corner of that plus symbol, okay, after he checks a 4473. Then he hands it off to me, the assistant manager, or one of the other managers. They sign right below his signature. And then we take it in the back. We check it again. The next person signs in the bottom left-hand corner, and then we hand it off to management, and they sign in the upper left-hand corner. So that goes through 4 people to make sure that it's proper and done right. It's very, very, very meticulous, but even at that, things still do slip through.
I believe it. Yeah, you just get in the mode.
Yeah, definitely. But if you were to get a 44, or if you were to get an FFL, you would definitely want compliance officers to work with you. You definitely would want that. So. But not hard to run an FFL. Just depends on if you want to have a brick and mortar shop, or whatever. You could even do a CNR. That'd be cool.
Well, I had my eyes on that Tavor forever, for like 7 years. But damn, so expensive, right?
Yeah,
jealous.
Very jealous.
It was a grand opening, and they had it at like 19 hundo, and I just could not. It was the first time I even seen it like in the store, and my husband's like, "Well, you gotta like pick it up. You've never even held it," and I'm like, "You know what happens if I pick them up, right? Like once you pick it up, it's like a puppy. It's over." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've got a small frame, so the Israelis built the Tavor to be able to work with multiple different frames, because they have women in their armed forces as well that actually will go out with weapons, right? So they built it to be able to work with a lot of different people, which I'm sure is why it works so well with you. It
is like just an extension of my body. It's I've never ever shot a firearm that is so comfortable to use as that. for me in my small frame.
Now,
as comfortable as that Tavor is, it is like it was made for me. It's beautiful. So
I heard that they can be difficult to reload or get used to reloading. Did you find that to be the case?
I didn't, because I didn't train on an AR very long. So this is like my first firearm that's really, not a shotgun. I could shoot the heck out of my shotgun. That is my bread and butter. And like a .22 rifle for small game hunting. Otherwise, when I was hunting deer, I hunt with a bow, and then I was shooting trap and stuff like that. So I never really had a rifle system in my hands to train with. We do have an AR, and I've shot it, quite a few times, but it's not like it was ingrained in me yet, right? So it was really easy for me to just, this is where everything is. I do find that sometimes, because there's the button on the bottom, which is it closes the slide mechanism and all that.
Bolt release, yeah.
The bolt release, right. You sometimes accidentally hit that because of where it is. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. But that's the only thing that I've found with it. Like, I've gotten my finger pretty good because that slide, hit it, because I accidentally hit the bolt release. So...
Are you running 5.56, 300
yes.
black?
Yeah.
Okay.
5.56 out of it.
That's the only difference between you and me. I would have grabbed the 300 black, popped a can on there, and probably set it up with one of those Timney triggers. But that's just me. I can't help myself.
That is all Greek. Come on now, you can't go into gun language, like modified, like super gun language.
I would have put a modified trigger pack in it. That's the Timney, and I would have thrown a suppressor on the front of it.
Oh, okay.
And I would have used 300 blackout as the caliber, because 300 blackout's great for suppressed or supersonic. Either way, you're good.
Okay.
Or rather, subsonic or.
Because it'll do the 5.56 or 223s.
Oh, yeah.
Either way.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
And it's the 16-inch barrel, which I also like, rather than the longer system, because when it hangs down in front of me, it's not long too.
Yeah, it's not bumping into you.
No.
That's a height joke.
Yeah, I know. It's cool. I'll take it from Chin. He's up there in the clouds.
Well, he's 5'4", so right?
I know.
He's a short guy. He can hang with you. Right? He's allegedly 5'4".
Allegedly.
What got you so into firearms to begin with?
Well, so when I was 7 years old, I remember my dad had a .22, and I always wanted to shoot it. But we went out to, I went out to California, and my dad's family, they had a whole bunch of agriculture out there, so we were able to go out into the fields and shoot all these different guns when I was little. And I just remember really enjoying shooting. I believe it was a M16A1. That somebody had out there, and I just loved it.
Uh-huh.
So when we got back, I asked my parents, I don't remember how, I think it was 8, 7, something like that, years old. I know it was single digit. And I was like, can I have a subscription to that magazine? I pointed to Guns and Ammo. And that was back when you could get a subscription to things, and get it in the mail. Now you just get on your stupid phone. But
right.
So they got me a subscription to Guns and Ammo. Needless to say, it was not a good idea to take those magazines to school with you when I was little.
Oh, yep.
And then after that, I got a subscription to Soldier of Fortune, which was another fun magazine I just loved to read. And when I was little, I always loved watching those, Rambo movies and, Delta Force and all those, movies. I'm like, I wasn't really super concerned with the guys that were behind the guns. What I was looking at is, how do those guns operate? How does that work? I don't understand how, this turns this way, that pulls that, and then something comes out the other side. How does that work?
Of it, yeah.
And of course, when you're a little person, you're just a little guy. You don't understand how the mechanics are working.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a lifelong fascination. I from the time I was, I want to say 16. I owned my own guns. Various different things from Mossberg 590s to original Chinese AK-47s. Back when they were still $199.
Yeah.
I miss those days. $70 spam can
Right.
is 760 by 39. Where you at? Anybody out there in the audience? $79 spam cans from Cheaper Than Dirt. Remember? I'm crying a little bit. But, yeah, man. It's been a lifelong fascination for me. I think some people have like a whoopee, and a security blanket. For me, it's made of steel and aluminum. I don't know. It's just the way it is for me. I just love guns, man. I love them.
That's what I've told my kids. I named my Tavor Teddy, and then Teddy like sleeps with me, and I'm like, yep, this is my third child, so I'm willing everything to Teddy. My kids are like, shut up.
Have you put a light on it yet?
No, I haven't.
You got to get a light.
I know. I got chicken expansion to do, and I got a greenhouse to put up. So, and technically, I was out of rotation when I got Teddy. So my husband and I have a system. He gets a gun, I get a gun. He gets a gun, I get a gun, and it's usually like he gets a gun, I get a gun, I get a gun. I get a gun. He gets a gun. I get it. Yeah. Technically, he's up on the docket for gear, and we have to gear up. But no, keep bothering me about it. Sending me stuff. I'll actually. I still need to get the proper cleaner. There's the one brush that I want. That's the snake one that goes through it all the way, and I don't have that one. Yeah,
the boar snake. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those boar snakes are nice, man.
I was looking at cleaning kits, and then I was like, "Oh, here's the pistol grip, and here's the front grip for it, and here's now I gotta buy the Piccadillys for it." And I got all distracted, and then I was like, "I can't spend all this money. I'm out. I just had to abandon ship and leave altogether." So. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to run boar snakes and stuff like that. As long as you're occasionally doing a deep cleaning, you're fine. Right, and that's
boar snakes are great.
Well, with the Tavor, it's hard to get into that side mechanism, so it's even more important to have the boar snake for it because everything is so tight, right? So
Israeli manufacturing. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? It's built with pretty strict tolerances. I'd love to see what their tolerance levels are, because with the AR-15, you're plus or minus 5 thou. And I've talked about this on my own podcast before, but the reason that sometimes you'll get an AR-15 that some parts won't quite work with it, or you'll find there's accuracy issues, or it won't quite cycle right, being that it's because the AR-15 or the M16 or whatever you want to go with, they are, like I said, they're plus or minus 5 thou, or 0.005 thousandths of an inch. Okay, so when I say plus or minus, that can mean that one company is making their parts at spec at minus 5 thousandths. And then you've got another company making parts at spec at plus 5 thousandths. And you try to put those two companies' parts together, Frankenstein something together, and you end up with parts that are 10 thousandths of an inch out of spec. That makes sense. Right? And that's why they will malfunction. So, but you can work around that. There is a lot you can do. With ARs now, you can pretty much diagnose the problem and figure it out.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So I totally went off on a tangent there, but so I worked in the that sporting goods retail store for a while, and then I don't know, man. I just kind of started. I mean, I was still doing gunsmithing on the side while I was working there, but I couldn't do gunsmithing for any of the customers there because of liability and stuff like that.
Right.
But they're just, I don't know. I just felt this pull, I don't know. A lot of people that listen to my podcast, I'm Christian. I felt this pull that, I mean, you're helping people, but you're not really helping people.
Right.
You're helping their guns run really well. You're helping people by selling them guns and ammo, but you're not really helping, So I got an opportunity to go work at a mental health place, a behavioral health facility. And I took it. And now I'm what they would call a care coordinator at the place that I work. And I love it. I really, really do.
I
Later on.
was just floored when you told me that. I was like, dude, deep respect to you for doing
thank you.
that. Because, like I was telling you, the green room, mental health is literally one of our biggest problems. I don't think all of our technology and our cell phones, this is literally like the biggest social experiment ever. And I don't think it's working.
No, it's not.
You know,
It's not.
And
It's not.
and then even things like we've been talking a lot lately about, like, okay, so this is also a social experiment as far as like how many women are on birth control and all of the pharmaceuticals that are being pumped through everybody's blood and all of the things, our food supply being the way it is as these national brands with the product additives and things like that. This is all like a really big experiment, breaking away from thousands of years of, existence of humanity to this new, supposedly advanced living. And I don't think it's working. Like, it is not sustainable, in my opinion.
Well, if you look, and I can give you the studies, and I can tell you from frontline, in the trenches experience, we are, quote unquote, more progressive than ever. Our country, our world, right? We're freer than ever, quote unquote, right? But more people are killing themselves than ever.
Yeah.
More people are doing drugs than ever before. More people are overdosing than ever before. More people express that they are hopeless. More depression than ever in our entire history of this country, of humanity.
And we have a whole lot less people believing in Jesus, our Savior, and the Lord above.
Right. 100% agree with you. Now the church is looked at as a negative. People don't want to hear it. People don't look at it as a positive thing. They see Christianity, or they see religion even. I don't believe Christianity is a religion, but they see any religious stuff as evil instead of good.
Right. A control method. And it's like, no. You'll free yourself more than you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
More than you can even, when you feel the Lord's hand in yours, you're free from everything that men could possibly bring upon you. So it's actually exactly the opposite, because I'm really anti-authoritarian, and I've had people ask me that before, like, how can you balk at every authority yet you give yourself to the Lord? And I'm like, because that's exactly it. I chose to give myself to the Lord.
Well, it's always been government against God. It's always been that way, right? It's always been that way since Jezebel and Ahab went after the prophets of Israel and shut down all the biblical Bible schools. And then it was up to Elijah to take out all those freaking prophets of Baal. There's so much there that and people, when they bow down to the government and do what the government says, they'll quote Peter or Paul, they'll quote them and say, well, it says to submit to the government, and Jesus said give Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, what happens when the government says, well, bow down to me? You remember when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were like, we're not bowing down to you, dude. We're not doing that. And they're like, throw them in the fiery furnace. They're like, okay, that's cool. We're going to do that, and that's the way it was, dude. Like, when government goes against God, you have to choose God. If you're a believer, you must choose God every time. And me and my wife were talking about the mark of the beast the other day, and how people will basically be forced to take it, or they won't be able to buy and sell, and the people who don't take it will be persecuted, and how we kind of saw a preview of it during COVID, right? If you don't have your COVID pass, if you're not wearing a mask, no service. If you don't have your COVID pass, no service. So you can't fly, you can't do this, you can't. That's a taste of what it's going to be like. And, during that time, with the mark of the beast, you don't have it on your hand or on your head. You will be hunted down and executed, beheaded or whatever it is, according to Revelation. And I don't know about you, but I'll take the beheading. Right. You're not going to get that on me, dude. I'm not going to be forced to do anything, number one. Number two, I want to go home to my Lord and Savior. So you go right ahead and you do whatever you have to do.
Right. And Jesus was like, how lucky are you that you should be persecuted for me?
Yep.
So
absolutely.
I'll take the whooping.
Absolutely.
It's cool,
Yeah, bring it.
Yep.
Bring it, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot there. When it comes to mental health, we see probably where I'm at, we see at least 2 or 3 people a day coming in for addiction, coming in for various different problems. Down where I work in the area where we deal with addiction, there's the upstairs area that they deal with all sorts of mental health problems, schizophrenia, major depressive disorder, eating disorders, all kinds of different stuff. And they're seeing upwards of, 15, 20 people a day that come in, fill out an intake packet, go back with somebody, do an intake, or they have to be scheduled for the next day or the next week or whatever. And we're in a small town.
You're just getting overrun.
Yeah, we're just getting overrun now. Imagine what it's down, like down in
New York.
New York, Phoenix, freaking LA, wherever, you can imagine how it must be just crazy in those places. Yeah. So,
well, that's why I wanted to touch on it, because I was like, man, Lord bless you on your mission. That's just epic, So
thank you.
I'm feeling a pull in a direction myself too, and I just don't know how that financially would work out. So, but I don't think that God really cares about what your financial situation is like. This is what I want you to do. So we'll see where things go.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because when I first started at that place, I was not making enough. Like, my wife was pulling in more than me. I wasn't making enough for her and I together to be able to pay our bills. And I waited, we prayed, we just kind of, trusted in the Lord, and we luckily, we had our family that would help us if we needed help, like new tires in the vehicle or oil change, things like that. And then finally, we got to a point where, we were just really down and out, and, we prayed again, and, we're just kind of in prayer. And I started looking for a new job, and my boss comes to me and she says, I need to talk to you. I'm like, oh crap. I guess I'm going to get fired before I can find a new job. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we go in her office and she says, I didn't want to say anything until I knew for sure that it was real. And I'm like, what's real? And she goes, we just created a new position for you. And I was like,
gosh.
What? I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, we created a new position for you that's going to combine what you're doing now with being a care coordinator. So technically you'll be both, but your title will be care coordinator, and we're going to raise your pay about $6 an hour up from what you're at right now.
Amen. Right?
Huh?
Huh? Yeah. When you're on the right path, you're going to get the rewards for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that was a job that had never been created there before. No one had ever done that before. They just did it.
Wow.
And I'm like, God, it's God.
It is 100%.
I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna stick with that.
No, that one night you're like, oh no, I'm gonna be up all night with this dude. I can't get the lines done, and I was just like, don't even worry about the lines. Oh my gosh, like,
yeah,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like stay on your mission, bro. Don't worry about that. Like this guy always wait. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have a choice, man.
Right?
Like, even when you get home, you're still working. Sometimes you're at the office late. Sometimes you'll get a call, hey, can you come back? It can be tough. It can be really tough.
All right, well, we better get into some defensive strategy. I just really wanted to touch there because I was like, man, that's something worth letting the community know, and just blessing your mission there. Pray for your success in the future. Okay. So you are potentially, I want to jump into the second question that Chin came up with, getting away from the mob protest while driving or walking. So that's something that we touched on quite a few times. We've had another, speaker on it, but what's your general set of, opinions in this situation?
Well, for me, like, when it comes to getting away, I carry a lot of escape and evasion gear on me as it is, because I don't know what's going to happen. Now, granted, when it comes to a mob, it's not like they're going to maybe they will. Like
what do you carry? Escape and evasion gear.
There's 2 companies specifically that I buy gear from. Well, actually 3. There is searpick.com. and there is oscardelta.co.uk, and then there is Schomer Tech. I've talked about, I believe, all three of them on my podcast before, but there is, I don't want to say exactly where everything is on my body, but I have escape and evasion. It would not matter if I was naked. I have escape and evasion gear on me. Well, let's just put it that way.
Oh,
it would not matter. Yeah, it would not matter. I'm prepared for that too. That being said, if you need to get away, it depends on what we're talking about. What you mean by getting away? Am I being held captive, or am I just surrounded by idiots?
Let's go with the surrounded by idiots.
Surrounded by idiots. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing for me is prevention. Okay. When it comes to things like that,
don't get surrounded by idiots to begin with.
Well, even more than that, look like one of the idiots, right? If I know I'm rolling through some Antifa, ridden area, you better believe I'm going to be dressed in black bloc. You know what I'm saying? So I look like one of those morons. I'm going to look like them, right? It's the same thing you do when you go into a hostile country. You look like the locals, you act like the locals, and you do everything they do, right? I think that's one of your best lines of defense, is to not be noticed, right? Because, cops are going to be immediately attacked. Anybody with We the People or any kind of gun stickers on their vehicle, they're going to immediately be attacked. My vehicle is completely stickerless. So that's another way that I would, completely stay under radar. My wife drives a big lifted truck. I don't. I want my vehicle to look like any other vehicle on the road.
Yeah, I have a gray Dodge Caravan, so it's pretty
it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That looks like, soccer mom, anybody else, no big deal, right?
Yeah. But do you know the amount of storage in the floor of that thing? It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Things are awesome, man.
Yeah.
But as far as if I was kind of in that situation where I find myself, heading into that area and I'm like, made a wrong turn, let's say, okay? I think for me, and this may sound a little bit wacky to people, but I'm going to, usually in my vehicle, I've got two different forms of pepper spray, okay? I don't know if your listeners know this, but there's technically about 3 different types of pepper spray, okay? You've got the stream, like a squirt gun type of pepper spray. Then you've got the one that's kind of like a spray, if you will, like a, when you're spraying the windows with Windex, kind of a cone effect, right? And then the third one is one of the ones that I carry, and it's generally used for animal control, right? But it's kind of a fogger, right? Okay. So you'll see those for like bear. They call it bear spray.
Yep, bear spray. It goes like 30 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes like 30 feet, and they can be kind of like a fogging effect to it, if you will, or kind of like a big, misting effect, right? I like to carry the squirt type and the fogger type. Okay, I carry both. Now, one is obviously for point and shoot, right? Point and squirt, if you will. Don't take that the wrong way. And one is for direct shot, right, directly to the eyes, if you will. The other one is for crowds, if you will, right? So if you got a bunch of people around you, you can send that fogger out all the way around you, dude, and get them to leave you alone, right? And you're about to deploy that. Some other stuff, like I don't want to say exactly everything I would do in that situation, but it depends on how close they're going to get, right? Like, I don't care if you yell at me. I don't care if you scream at me. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I'm going to be paying attention to is the people that are with me that may need to be protected. And there will be a point, if I feel that those people, if their lives are in danger, that I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect them. The other thing that I would make sure of when I'm driving in any area like that is I would make sure I have a truck gun, and I don't condone anyone hurting anyone. Okay. But you don't know what you're about to face.
Right.
Okay. If you hear that there are protests going on in the area that you live, you might want to be sure that you can get out of there.
Some of those videos have been horrific. Like the old man that was just pulled out of his truck and they just beat him senseless.
Yeah, for no reason, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But what I would do if I were you in that case is I would look at the same thing the police do. It's called escalation of force. right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go from, like let's just use pepper spray. First you start with pepper spray, then you go up to your if you have a baton or something like that, you go up to that, and then if you had a taser, you go up to a taser if you were a cop or something like that, and then you go up to the firearm, right? Me personally, being a civilian, I'm not obligated to run through the entire escalation of force.
Right.
And of course,
and
before
sometimes
pepper
it's
spray,
too late too. You don't
exactly.
have that kind of time period. Yeah.
Exactly right. So the other thing to keep in mind is having heavily tinted windows so they can't see inside your vehicle. The other thing I would do is the lights inside your vehicle. You know how the dash has lights inside the vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
I would turn those lights way down so they can't see who you are. That makes a big difference. And people being able to see inside your car, assuming it's at night.
Interesting.
Yeah. If it's not at night, then, well, you're just going to have to deal with that.
Yep.
The
But
other
tinted
thing
windows would work there. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing you might want to consider in a case like that is just having some way to get people to kind of step back from your vehicle, other than the pepper spray or the fogger or whatever like that, right? I've seen, and you can kind of play with this yourself, but road flares are surprisingly helpful when someone comes up to your vehicle. You light one of those and poke them with it. They really don't want to play anymore.
Fair
so
enough.
that's something to consider, right?
Yeah.
Keep in mind if someone has a Molotov cocktail, that's a dangerous device. You are,
Yeah.
I'm not giving you any legal advice here, but that's class 3 weapon.
Let's get out of here right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. There will be a time and a place to drive right through what you're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And we've all seen the zombie movies where the zombies get stuck in the tires and you can't drive.
Some of those protests have been crazy. And then I was, like, do you drive through people or do you not? And I would think it would have to do with the threat level there.
Right. You're always going to want to remember that you're being filmed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have to drive over someone, if you do have to drive over a few people,
do it as gently as possible.
Well, no. Initially, you want to show every possibility that you were trying to be peaceful. You were trying to be peaceful. You tried to get away, and you couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. That is huge. It's huge to be able to show a jury that you tried to get away. I don't. You could look at someone like Kyle Rittenhouse. He ran and ran, and when he couldn't run anymore and they attacked him, that is when he protected himself, right?
Right.
So, it is just, always keep in mind you are going to be on film. You have to keep those things in mind, right? I think that would be a thing. Some people talk about using like less than lethal rounds in like a shotgun or something like that. I don't believe in using like multiple loads or like a mixed load inside of a shotgun. I think that is
if you're already there, then it's time to play. It's not if you're already at that level, then you need to be using your firearm for a reason. That was one of the things, like my survival instructor was like, people are going to think, like, if it's a home invasion, people are going to think that a woman won't pull the trigger. So you pull the trigger.
Yep.
Like right now.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
just do.
No hesitation.
Yep. No hesitating. Right. So that's when I was okay, well, it's on then.
It also depends on the situation you're in too. Like, is it SHTF or is it like just a protest, right?
Right.
Because there are websites and there are even some police departments that will give you a printout of the protests in your area, so you'll know what to avoid. Mm-hmm. You can look up websites, find out where they're going to be, where they might migrate to. You can check the weather. You can check all that different stuff. And if you know where those protests are going to be and about the area they're going to be in, you're going to want to look up multiple escape routes from that area. You know what I'm saying?
How about if it's SHTF, what are you doing to scout a route that you need to travel down?
I am going to come up with at least 3 different routes that I'm going to roll through. Okay. Or potentially 4. Okay. I'm a big fan of PACE planning, right? Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. it depends on the area that I'm rolling through. Sometimes you can't really come up with all of those. But for me, I'm going to have at least 3 or 4 routes, at least. Okay. But the problem, especially nowadays, without us memorizing our own phone numbers anymore, the problem is when people can't memorize those routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll want to kind of keep that in mind and try to memorize those routes. And you're going to want to drive them ahead of time if you can. Okay? Drive those routes ahead of time if you can. And furthermore, if you can drive those routes ahead of time, I would suggest you cache some gear along those routes.
Gotcha.
If you can, right? Pop some gas somewhere around those routes, maybe some extra ammo, some extra food and water. I believe military guys call those like a resupply bag like that. I could call them speed bags or speedballs, something like that. They'll get those bags and they'll be able to get all the resupply they need out of them. Generally it's like a duffel bag full of gear, right? So that's something to keep in mind when you're rolling through a route. The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to routes is being able to get through an obstacle quickly, right? So let's say a tree is felled in the area that you're in. You plan on going down this road. There's a tree that's been felled. You have a couple options there, right? So like if you have a winch on your vehicle, if you have, maybe you have an axe with you in your survival kit, right?
Right.
Maybe you have a chainsaw. Maybe you have some very different options, or you have to back up and get out of there. Now, if you are dealing with something more like an ambush in that area, then that's a whole other story, right? When it comes to, if I remember correctly, military doctrine and even like bodyguard, executive protection type stuff, when it comes to the vehicle, they say never stop moving. Okay,
right.
If I know that things are getting really, really bad, and if I can afford it, okay, keyword, if I can afford it, I'm going to see about getting run flats on my vehicle, especially if that's the vehicle that I'm going to be taking everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that may or may not be an option for you, okay? I don't want everybody to, okay, Dane said go get a bunch of run flat tires. We're going to be fine. No, it doesn't work that way, dude. But,
right.
It's one extra possibility, right?
Yeah, and the more you can stack in your favor, the better. So, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be a good situation ever, but the more you can stack in your favor, the better. Yeah.
And the other thing too, when you're scouting out those routes, you're not going to want to do that by yourself. Okay.
I was going to say,
a lot. Yeah. We have a lot of tech now, a lot of technology that you can use to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
If I were doing this myself, I would definitely be scouting, like I said, multiple directions that I can get out of there. But if you're smart, you're going to have somebody that you trust, or even someone you love, like your husband or wife, scout it out as well. Kind of give them the parameters, give them, where the destination, and tell them, this is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? But don't tell them every route. Tell them the primary route you're going to go for. See if they come up with any other ones, right? Because everybody can miss something.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah, and that helps keep an open mind on everything.
Yeah, and then keep in mind when you're rolling through, when you're trying to, go through any area or move through some sort of a route, you're going to want to go in a convoy. Do not ever go by yourself if you can avoid it. Always go with a convoy, right? I don't know if you guys heard that show that I did on convoy operations. But having multiple vehicles, you've got the lead vehicle, you've got the I don't know what you call the executive protection vehicle kind of in the middle. Let's see, you got 5 vehicles, right? You got 2 gun trucks up front. You got your lead vehicle gun truck. You got your middle gun truck. And then the very middle vehicle, the third one back, that's going to be how all your high value subjects in there, your VIPs, if you will, maybe.
Your kids.
Yeah, your kids, or some people, anyone whose wife is not real versed in a weapon, or maybe husband who's not real super versed in weaponry, or maybe they're a nurse, maybe they're a doctor, and you really need to keep them alive, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And then the rear, the vehicle right behind that one is generally going to be your logistics vehicle potentially, and the one right behind that will maybe have the doctor in there, but that'll be your medical vehicle, right? And then if you have the ability to, you have one more gun truck behind that, right? So you roll with the right amount of people and the right amount of vehicles and the right amount of logistics to make sure that you get there safely. Okay, that is kind of the doctrine that I'm running with. I don't
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
I
other
love
people
that.
do it differently, but
Because everybody's like, oh, my family, my this, my that, my this. And I came to the realization a long time ago that, like, you really can't do it like just your family, especially just your family. Because, like, even just playing airsoft, once my son, especially my youngest son, once he is on the game board, like, a part of my brain is not there anymore. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous for me. That's dangerous for everybody, you know? So obviously that's a personal thing that I have to, like, overcome. But I don't know if that's possible as a mother, you know? Like,
you feel obligated to protect them.
Yeah. So, but it puts me at greater risk. So, you know, being able to have that community where you're like, okay, they're taken care of here. And I don't have to put that on my brain. I just have to take care of my mission objective. That's all about having people in a group that you trust. And so you can't do it just the family. That's not going to work. Or lone wolf. I mean, that's not.
No, it won't.
Not advantageous.
It really won't. You're right. And that's a great thing about Prepper Broadcasting is technically we have a rather large team of people that we could bring to bear in a situation like that if we needed to. And we would have plenty of vehicles to handle all kinds of different stuff, and we'd have plenty of people that could handle all kinds of different stuff. But having people you can trust is huge, right?
Yep.
And keep in mind when you've got those kind of moving through an area or taking a route or scouting a route ahead of time or whatever you want to do there, right? That scouting a route ahead of time also comes into what's something called an area study. Have you guys heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So doing an area study is actually absolutely paramount. Okay. And if any of your listeners don't know how to do an area study, go online, go to YouTube and look up a guy named Forward Observer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Forward Observer. Mike is amazing at doing the whole area study thing, right?
Yeah, Chin, you just did a class on his, didn't you?
Yeah, he just had a 3-night, hour-night class he did online. And he's got a couple books out. He's excellent.
He's out at Prepper Camp. He was out at Prepper Camp last year.
He is. I mean, he's got books. He's got 2 books on it, which are invaluable. Nice. I mean, everybody thinks, beads, bullets, and Band-Aids, but what's the right equipment? What emergency are you planning for? Well, if you did an area study, it would help you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not just rushing out to the store, but actually making the proper lists of what you need for what events you think you might actually in real life come, not just zombies running up, across your yard.
Well, yeah, and a good example of that is like, what if you have a whole bunch of natural springs by your house that you didn't know about because you didn't do an area study? You wouldn't have had to stockpile so much water, dude.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I mean, there's so much there that people don't realize,
Or the reverse of that, what if you didn't know that there was a train tracks that carried chemicals that ran, a mile from your house and could pollute the stream upstream from you, right?
Yeah,
so you might want to plan for it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't do the area study, you didn't know is that just a commuter rail or is that, transportation of chemicals? What comes across?
Yeah. Is there a food hub close by? Is there a National Guard armory close by? Is there a
prison or something
close
by?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. And these are all things that go into scouting out a route, right? Yep. And then there's
even like what they call stop and robs, but like a 7-Eleven or whatever your quick stop is. A lot of things happen at night that aren't really the best thing. So is that something that's close by that could bleed into your neighborhood?
Yeah.
I just picked up on what you said. That was funny. Stop and rob. That was
But I mean, I 100% agree that the area study is it's important. You don't know what to plan for unless you study what's around you and know what your threats are.
When my brother lived down in Phoenix, and things were starting to get bad during 2020 and all the riots and all that stuff, I planned for I believe it was 4 routes for him to get out of where he lived in Phoenix and come up to where we were. So it pays, and even being able to do an area study for those that you love will come in handy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have a friend in Cali that's like right by, it's not a nuclear plant, but they store nuclear material there, and she's east of it. I'm like, and which way does the wind normally blow?
yeah,
She's
exactly.
like, east. I'm like, okay, so as soon as anything happens, you need to get the hell out of there. Like, that's that's a given. Now, which direction are you going? Because where is everybody else going, She's like,
So important.
Yeah.
So important to know those things.
Already, Dane, well, I'm already way over time because I've just been having too much fun with this podcast. So I've got to get into the Changing Earth news. We're going to just rip through it. I'm going to go into Micro Machine mode.
Okay.
But thank you so
jump
much.
off.
Yeah.
No problem at all, guys. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you both for the help with the audio drama and all that. I mean, you guys are what make that show possible, everybody that's involved. So I can't thank all of you that put your hard work into it as well enough for helping me make a dream come alive.
We gotta do the animated version, man. We could do like the
Right?
Archer, Archer.
It's definitely been a topic of conversation, that's for sure. There are some things that would have to change a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely been a topic of conversation. So,
all right, guys. Well, thank you for having me. I'll let you all go. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Dane.
Bye, guys.
Right, bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to jump into some Changing Earth news. I was like, oh, this is going so long, but we're having so much fun and it's such a good conversation. So, oh, wow. Here we go.
Dream, survive, thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
All right, Changing Earth news. Week of, today is March 24th. And we have some interesting stuff going on today. Chin, you sent me over the alert right before the show.
Yeah.
The X-Class solar flare, it was released yesterday, I believe. It wasn't supposed to hit till Monday, but it actually hit today, super fast, which was actually good because it was a serious X-Class flare that was directly aimed at our planet, a long duration one. So there was questions of like, how severe is this thing going to be? We are in a geomagnetic storm right now. We're in a class 8 KP8 storm right now. So some of the systems, if you notice some of your electronics acting funky, that's going to be definitely caused by the solar activity. Some of the more sensitive systems might go down. Of course, there's spatial implications for anything that's out in space. But also multiple M-class flares were released after that X-class, so we're going to be keeping eyes on that. But we've already been hit with the wave of the worst of it. And this can also cause medical issues. So anybody with like heart problems, just take it easy. Anybody who's on that mental edge might be a little bit more cray-cray today, tomorrow. So keep your eyes open and just be aware that people might be on an interesting kilter because of the amount of solar activity that we're taking. As far as the weather goes, man, we've just been getting just socked again and again here in the United States. And the weather people say it's just going to continue in succession till the end of the March. So batten down the hatches, guys. It'll be an interesting ride. What do they say about, isn't it March in like a lion, out like a lamb?
Out like a lamb, yeah.
Yeah, right. So hang on tight. And for all of you who are keeping track, I actually got my gardens all in. We're good to go. And then we get a windstorm. It's like so challenging in Texas because all my starters are outside. Boom, wind. I'm like, so hopefully everybody does well. We're trying, we're doing a blend this year of like container gardens and in the ground gardens and stuff. So I'll have to report on that when we have more time. All right, March 18th, 333 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.3 in the North Pacific Ocean in Japan. Ohio to Kansas was absolutely reeling from all that tornado activity we had last weekend. And Texas Panhandle's 100% contained. The fires are under control in the Panhandle. As of the 18th, they were 100% contained. That's not the situation in India. They had a wildfire in Nilgiris. Several hundred acres went up. It was quite a huge fire that was wrapping around that town. On the 19th of March, there was 339 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.5 in the South Pacific Ocean near New Zealand. In Dahok, Iraq, this is northern Kurdistan, 2 people died in a flood event there. They had just massive flooding and mudslides. And as I always say, the mud is almost worse when it inundates your town because you're not just waiting for the water to dry. You're waiting for you literally have to dig yourself out. So in Peru, they had torrential rains that left a hospital flooded and their streets destroyed. In Minnesota, the firefighters have already responded to 200 wildfires this year. So it's been actually a really dry and windy winter up north and unseasonably warm weather at times. They're getting the extremes, as we will all get the extremes. I mean, that's one of the things that's going to happen is the extremes are just going to become more extreme as the earth pushes into this polar shift. In China, thousands of firefighters battle forest in Sichuan. So this is southwestern China, and it's threatening Tibetan villages. So these wildfires. On March 20th, there was 371 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the South Atlantic Ocean near the South
Sandwich Islands?
Yes, South Sandwich Islands back up. Hundreds of earthquakes have been hitting the Yellowstone area. So there's a whole bunch of different opinions on it. Ben, that I listen to a lot over at Suspicious Observers, he has said that he doesn't believe Yellowstone is as big of a threat. His eyes are much more on Camp Flagré, which is still on our possible eruption list. But Yellowstone has been having some severe activity over there. Also of note, Mount Vesuvius had the largest earthquake that it's had in 25 years. And if you recollect to our earthquake show about when I was talking about the prophecies of Edgar Cayce, one of his big prophecies is when Pele and Vesuvius go at the same time, watch out west coast of the United States, specifically Nevada region. And Nevada's also been rumbling again. So it's interesting correlations there. So we got to keep our eyes on Vesuvius.
Did you warn Dolores?
that it's coming to Nevada? Yeah.
Give her the heads up.
Get your brothel together. Get it packed up. Jane's like, hey. On March 21st, there was 346 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.2 in the South Atlantic Ocean near South Sandwich Islands again.
Get out twice.
Yeah, hitting the list twice today. Australia getting just hit by ex-tropical storm Megan, causing 100-year flood conditions in, oh my gosh, I practiced this word even. It's Borroloola, but I know I said that wrong. I threw my Michigan accent on it. And they are just having an extreme event, high winds, lots of destruction going on from this. And it was supposed to be an X storm, and it's causing a lot more problems than they thought it was going to be. In Bolivia, they had a flooding event with a river breaking its banks, washing away vehicles, just lots of rain there, and also Argentina as well, getting battered by relentless rains and floods. On the 22nd of March, there was 442 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 6.5 in the Java Sea near eastern Java. There has been 2,000 earthquakes near the coast of Canada. So this has got people really concerned. The scientists are concerned it's a sign of something big that's in the Pacific, whether that's going to be a big slip that happens with the faults, or if there's like a volcano out there in the Pacific Ocean that we weren't previously aware of. 2,000 earthquakes is a big deal. That is a big earthquake swarm. So that's also something to keep eyes on. I do have to say that on the 22nd is the day that the concert happened in Moscow where there was the active shooter, over 40 people killed. And I'd just like to extend prayers out for all the families involved in that horrific incident. That wherever that happens, it's never a good thing. And it just seems very, very senseless. So I just wanted to extend prayers to everybody, all the families that were dealing with the fallout of that event. In Uruguay, thousands of homes have been evacuated, hundreds of homes lost in floods. Minnesota, after this, so they've been having all these wildfires. Now they finally got a large snowstorm in, but they had 175 auto wrecks due to that snowstorm. And I got to say, I used to live up in Minnesota, and there's some wacky...
In Minnesota?
Yeah, I did live in Minnesota, too.
Oh, wow.
I was teaching hockey camp out there for a summer. Man, sometimes those drivers, like, sometimes they just stop in the middle of the highway. They're like, oh, I missed my exit. They just stop. I like go over. You're like, what's happening? So, and you can pretty much fall asleep on Minnesota roads and like wake up and you're still going down the same road. So straight. So, yeah.
Especially in the wintertime with the bumpers they put up with the walls of snow.
Right. They literally have like signs on the side of the road for the snowmobiles that are like up way higher than the, yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty cool. In Virginia, they've had 100 fires in the last 48 hours on the 22nd. They had countless structures burned in Hardy County. So I don't know what's going on up there, Virginia, but we got to get our stuff together there. We got too many people we love in Virginia. So let's get that figured out. On March 23rd of 2024, there was 400 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 7.0 in Papua New Guinea. Luckily, it was in a rural area that wasn't very inhabited. So not much damage report coming in, but that was a serious earthquake. A 7.0 is never something to scoff at. And some, like the USGS has downgraded that to a 6.9. It's like, it's a 7.0. In New Jersey, they were struggling with a major rain event causing flooding. Maine got hit with a snowstorm. Big storm went through the whole northeastern Atlantic region of the United States. So 150 people or 150,000 without power up there in Maine. And then today there was 345 earthquakes that are 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which is a 6.1 in the Savu Sea near Indonesia. We will be on earthquake watch with all of the energy that's coming in from the X-class flare. So we will be having eyes open on that. And then Western Oklahoma, actually, when I was doing my research, there was live tracking of tornadoes happening there. Like I said, we had the winds come in today. So up above Texas, it's tornadoes hitting, stuff like that. So we'll have to keep our eyes on what's going on there. As far as volcanoes, we have 29 volcanoes actively erupting, 18 showing minor activity, 30 showing unrest. That is down one volcano for the week, but I expect an uptick there as well. We'll have to see how that plays out. As far as wildfires, we have 26 new wildfires in the United States, 18 actively burning, for a total of 18,745 acres on fire. 18 of those fires are contained. In Oklahoma, they had 7 new fires, 6 are still active, and then 7,450 acres in total burning. 7 of those are contained. That was mostly blowover from what was happening in Texas. And then in Virginia, they have 9 new fires, 6 active, 7,414 acres on fire, with only 3 of those fires contained. So that's interesting stuff. You don't normally see Virginia up there on the list. Also on number 3 is Tennessee with 1 new fire, 1 actively burning, 1,467 acres, and that fire is not contained at this time. Alrighty, guys. Sorry we went so far over. It's just, man, I like talking with Dane. We got to get him out to prepper camp so we can all just sit around the fire and chat for a while, right? Oh. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like on the monthly countdown. It's only like 6 months away now. honestly. So I heard there was still some camp spots open in Tent City. Last I heard. So if you guys out there haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets, get your campsite. Come on out, hang out. Alrighty, Chin.
It's a good, yeah.
I'm exhausted from today's show. That was fun.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We got to have Dane on more often. Like I said, like, amen. Like, you know, people making the choices that make other people's lives better. Great job. Same with you. Work in your community. Very good stuff. I'm honored to know both of you. Alrighty, guys.
Golly.
I am. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. The Lord, He takes care of me, you know, gives such good people. So for every time we get hurt, you know, you got to remember that there's still really, really awesome people out here. You just got to hook up with them. So
I agree.
Alrighty, guys. I'm going to let you go. We're late today. So until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.